you've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of you. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh.
Hello, my royals. How are you doing today? Now, would you believe that YouTube flagged the short documentary clips that were in this episode? I tried to retain the videos so many times by muting the videos, editing it and making it maybe smaller versions and things like that, but it kept flagging the videos. So I had no option but to delete the videos completely. But listen very carefully, my royals. The facts, the investigations, the data, the explosive revelations, they're all still there. Okay. So what I've done in the alternative is to put all the links to all the videos in the description. So all you need to do is just click on the description and the videos, the magazines, the newspapers, the websites, everything that were meant to be in the clips are all there in the description. Okay, so you're not missing out on anything at all. All right, they're all still there. All right, this episode is too important to miss because it exposes global organ trade using documented cases, court records, international reports. Like, listen, you just need to watch it to the very end because what I reveal in the final section will change how you see this issue forever. I also prefer solutions and global implications. All right. This, I think, is the most powerful part of the show, to be honest. If you care about truth, transparency, and human dignity, then listen, watch this show. Truth cannot be muted. All right. And here on Empower Life with Cleopatra, we don't retreat because they're hoping that I will retreat, but I'm not going to retreat, no surrender. We just refine. And that's what we've done. We've refined the video and hopefully we will not flag the video this time. Okay. So enjoy. Okay. Click, watch, share. All right. Watch it till the end, really, and then share it. Okay. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. You can see people already in the chats. Comments even. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening, good evening. Yes, listen, I'm just as excited as you are about the show. Okay, so I'm not surprised that you have joined early. Okay. Hey, Robin! Hi, hilarious pets. Hi, Lady Love. Hi, Robin. Hi, Riri. Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness. Listen, you guys. First of all, thank you for the love and thank you for your support. Okay. Yes, a lot of work has gone into this, a lot of sleepless nights, but it will be worth your while because it's such an eye opener. Like I literally was crying in some aspects when I was watching some of the videos that I'm going to show you tonight as well. So yeah, brace yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, brace yourself. But thank you once again for joining and jump right into it because there's a lot to cover. Robin says, I don't share food without permission, so I certainly would share my organs. Listen, Robin. Honestly, just wait, just wait. All right, because what if I told you that parts of the human body are traded globally like oil, like gold, or like weapons, like, weapons. Seriously, what if I told you that? And I'm not speaking metaphorically, though, I'm speaking literally. What if I told you that? Well, welcome to Empower Life with Cleopatra, the show where we uncover hidden truths, we separate facts from fear, and we empower you with the knowledge that actually matters. But before we begin, my royals, first of all, if you haven't smashed the like button, please smash the like button right now. Okay, if human dignity matters to you, click on that like button. Okay, if you haven't subscribed yet, please join the royal family. All right, join our family right now and subscribe. Okay, please share this because silence protects criminals. Okay, and tonight we're going to expose a lot of criminals. Okay, organizations and nations that you probably did not think they were involved in things like this. All right. Tonight, we are not dealing with conspiracy theories. In this show, we don't do conspiracy theories. All right. We come before you with facts and evidence. Okay. We are dealing with documented investigations, court cases, global data, and uncomfortable truths. According to the World Health Organization, up to 10% of organ transplants worldwide may be illegal. And we're talking roughly about 10,000 illicit transplants per year. Then 10,000. The United Nations, all right, the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime estimates organ trafficking accounts for 5 to 10% of a 1.5 billion global transplant black market. Global financial integrity places, right? It places the illegal trade between $840 million to $1.7 billion. This is what global financial integrity houses, organizations have estimated this illegal human trafficking or organ trafficking to be. All right, between $840 million to $1.7 billion annually, not since it started, just every year. This is not a rumor. It's a structured global industry. All right. Now let's begin with Arizona. Okay, take a look at this video. Right. Okay, so that's just one video. Okay, there's more coming. All right. There's Hi Maureen, thank you for joining, sis. Hi Nicole, thank you so much for joining as well. Honestly, you guys, you haven't seen anything yet. So in 2014, the Biological Resource Center in Phoenix was raided by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, all right? This is the video we just watched. Families believed they were donating loved ones for medical research. Instead, investigations alleged body parts were sold in ways that they never consented to. So the Washington Post did the investigation. There was another courthouse news.com also reported about the body parts and the racketeering in that organization. Right now, this particular story was not organ transplant harvesting. It was body brokering. In other words, they were actually cutting the body into pieces and selling it to various people and organizations, including the military, like they said. Okay. Now the center has been shut down, but here's the sobering reality though. The trade in human remains has not disappeared. It's still carrying on, right? Let's talk about the modern digital market for human remains right now, because this last year, 2025, right? In 2025, an investigation revealed that over 80 sellers were active, guess where? On Instagram and on Facebook, openly advertising human skulls, bones, fetuses, even wallets that were made from human skin. I'm not going to put the link because I'm not going to do that. All right. Many listings lacked clear documentation of origin. Okay. But in places like the UK, private sale of non-transplant human remains exist in this. All right. This is a legal gray area right now. All right. This does not automatically mean illegal, like there's massive illegal brokering operations, but it confirms that there's an active online trade that is raising serious ethical concerns. And we're talking, social media plus anonymity plus global shipping equals frictionless commerce. All right? Because you can open an account in any name in social media. There is no way that you can be tracked. People are up to no good in social media and they are getting away with it. All right. There is no way that they can monitor them. All right. Even for bones, people are actually selling human bones. All right. Now, I'm going to talk about even the recent, which is still happening as we speak. This is 2025, 2026. And we're only in February 2026, right? Guess where this is happening right now? Harvard morgue, right? There's a theft case in for Harvard morgue, right? This is in the US. A man linked to thefts involving Harvard Medical School morgue remains was sentenced to 6 years in 2025 for selling stolen human body parts across state lines. Even elite institutions, right, like Harvard, are not immune. 2026, this very month in February, in Russia, right? The Russian police announced they busted a scheme where a hospital morgue allegedly sold human remains to commercial organizations and permitted paid procedures using bodies without proper documentation. All right? This is ongoing investigation territory as we speak, is going on right now. What is the conclusion? Arizona was not an isolated historical glitch. The trade in human parts still evolves. It just remains, it's ongoing and it's evolving actually. Now, let's talk about the global scale. How big is this market? According to the United Nations and global financial estimates, right? 5 to 10% of global transplant activity may be illicit, may be illegal, may be unlawful. Black market value estimated between, like I said, 840 to 1.7 billion annually. Some analysis place total illegal organ trade closer to actually 2 billion per year. 2 billion. United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime in 2020 reporting, all right, they suggest that organ trafficking makes up to 5 to 10%, all right? The global institution said 1.7. Interpol roughly estimates that $1 billion have been laundered yearly from organ crime networks. This is the Interpol. This is not a random crime. It is structured. It is transactional enterprise with logistics, with brokers, with surgeons. And I'm talking surgeons, right? With money laundering networks as well. Okay? Let's talk about the economics of human flesh. Please put your comments in the chat because obviously I know this is a shock for everyone. Yeah, Amaka, I know. Amaka, hi Amaka, thank you for joining. Nicole, you said this is vile. Are you telling me? Mr. Solomon, thank you for joining. Good evening. Right? So listen, there's more. We haven't even started. We're just scratching the surface. Let's talk about the human economics of flesh. Black market pricing, all right, illustrates incentive. Then let's talk about how this, the organs are being sold. Kidney, for instance, right? People are prepared to pay up to $200,000 for a kidney. This was discovered by, if you go online and type Harvard Scope, Harvard, that is HAVOC Scope, Harvard Scope in 2023 here, just 2023, all right? People prepared to pay up to $200,000 for kidney. And guess how much the donors receive? Guess how much the donors receive? Either between $1,000 to $5,000, depending on where they are, depending on where they live. So the donors pay 200 grand. The one who wants to buy, the buyer pays 200 grand. The donor receives 1,000, between $1,000 and $5,000, right? And the brokers, they are the ones that actually make the money, and the institutions, obviously. Now let's go to India. Indian brokers, they earn up to $50,000 profit per kidney. Indian brokers, right? Now, Egypt recipients, right? The ones that want to buy the kidneys, they pay up to $20,000 to $40,000. And then the donor receives kind of approximately $2,000. All right? Pakistan. The donor receives $1,200, approximately, around about that area. The recipient, they pay about $120,000. In China, I was actually going to do a full expose on just China alone. I thought, no, now that all these things are coming in, let me just do everything together. I was actually already prepared, a show for just China, because there's a lot going on there. But I thought, no, just to leave it. But I will go back to it in a minute. But for now, in China, as per 2019, there was a China tribunal that was held, right? There was this illegal liver transplants, all right? And the people who want liver pay between $150,000 and $250,000. And what is the interpretation of this? Beneath operating room lies an economy where desperation becomes supply. This is not medical necessity alone. This is profit engineering. And like Nicole said, this is vile. This is grotesque supply chain economics, right? So the poor are the ones, obviously, that they target for this. So the poor provide, the desperate buy, and guess who profits the more? The brokers. Now, let's do country by country now. Like I said, in Pakistan, if you go to dawn.com, as in dawn.com, you can type and you find this story. So Dawn website reported that they documented over 2,500 illegal kidney transplants between 2007 and 2018. All right. Now, they actually busted a syndicate, in Pakistan. They busted a syndicate and they arrested them. All right. So they arrested about 150 traffickers between 2015 and 2022. This is in Pakistan. Let's go to India now. In India, if you go to the website called the Times of India, all right, 150 registered organ trafficking cases was reported by the NCRB in 2022. 200 arrests were made. The the Times of India, right, reported that they arrested the kingpin who was responsible for all this just last year here, 2025. All right. Now, the CBI reportedly busted 50 rings of this organ trafficking, 50 rings between 2016 and 2023. Now, India has long battled transplant tourism, and they have, there's always been these cases of forged documentation rings as well. All right. Now let's go to Egypt. The thing is, I only have 2 videos more to show because I have a lot to say. So I do not want to start showing videos upon videos upon videos, but you just need to type and go online and see all this things yourself. In Egypt, Al Jazeera investigated this kidney trade. All right. They reported, this is Al Jazeera News, by the way. They reported that an estimate of about 5,000 to 10,000 kidneys were trafficked annually each year. All right. And 200 arrests were linked to kidney scandal as far back as just 2020 here. 200 arrests were made to kidney scandal. Now, before we go anywhere else, let me play this video. And this is going to be a little bit longer than the first one, but it's got 2 videos in one, actually. All right. This is going to be in China and also in Nigeria. I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to play too many videos, but just watch this. Right. So these are across the world. This was the one I was talking about earlier in Pakistan, So I am not even, I'm not making all this up. Nicole says, isn't it the best case that the donor receives money? I think it's far more common that the donor is used to harvest other organs, including the heart. It's not just the kidneys. They use we just saw the one about liver just now, how much liver goes for. All right. They harvest anything harvestable as long as it's for, and I think it's the wealthy people, is the rich that are doing this, exploiting the poor people. Like I said, it's not. There's so many countries that are into this, and for some reason, nobody is saying anything about it. We all know the case that happened with the former Senator Ike Ekweremadu, who was convicted under UK Modern Slavery Act for organ trafficking. You just need to go online and check that out. Okay. Now, the UK, I think they've refused to deport him. So I don't think he's been deported yet. And then NAPTIP reported over 100 trafficking rings that have been busted between 2010 and 2020. This is in Nigeria. The Vanguard newspaper reported that they cited syndicates charging up to $80,000 per kidney. In Kenya, I didn't want to play the video for Kenya because, like I said, time and everything. Yeah, I had videos for Kenya as well, and China and everywhere else, even Egypt. In Kenya, child organ cases reported in East Africa Press Nation in 2023. All right, and I'm talking child organs. They were just like China is doing. They were harvesting child organs. All right, this is not a rumor. This is documented, okay? And some people were prosecuted for it. Now, let's come back to China. And this is the one that I said I was going to do a show on China exclusively for China, but I just thought, look, I'm not going to waste my time to just, do that. Let me just do everything here. So I'm just going to summarize the one for China. In 2019, the independent London-based China Tribunal concluded that forced organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience had occurred. They were getting prisoners, people who were in prisons, they were forcing them by harvesting their organs without their consent. And there's a full judgment. If you go to chinatribunal.com /final /final and then dash judgment, you will see that chinatribunal.com. All right. The final judgment, you will see it there. The tribunal estimated up to 40,000 illegal transplants yearly at peak capacity. Allegations included use of detained Falun Gong practitioners. All right. However, China officially denies ongoing forced harvesting. So they are denying it. So it's important for me to always look at both sides and see what the other person is saying in defense. So that's what I'm doing as an investigator for this. Now, China officially denies ongoing forced harvesting. But in 2015, China announced reforms ending use of executed prisoners' organs. China's Supreme Court reported convictions of 87 individuals linked to illegal organ trade between 2018 and 2022. All right. Now, there are serious allegations and findings by an independent tribunal. All right. There are official denials by the Chinese government. There are documented convictions of trafficking rings inside China, though. So this is why I'm talking about this, and I'm trying to balance both. Yeah, even though these have been documented, Chinese officials, Chinese government, they are denying it, but this is all documented. You just need to go online and see for yourself. Now let's talk about who these victims are. Who are the victims? The UNODC, which is the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime, reported that, guess how? 70% of women are mainly the victims. 70% of women. 25% are children. 60% of these people are usually on low income. 55% were coerced through debt. So maybe they are owing somebody and they cannot pay, and then they say to them, well, you have to sell something in your body, give your organ then to pay up your debt. 55% of them were coerced in that way. The Lancet magazine said that 80% of donors, which are male, usually are between 20 to 35 years old. This is for Asia. In Asia, usually they're around 20 to 35 years old. They're the males, that age group that they normally use. And then usually what happens after this operation, after they've conducted all these illegal operations, 40% of these people end up with severe infection. 40% of them, and a lot of them are not treated. There was another video that I can't play now that was talking about the fact that even till now, he was paid, actually, he wasn't even paid the full amount of money that he was promised. This was in Kenya, and then there was another one in Asia, in Pakistan. Both of them said similar things, that they were not even paid the money that they were promised. But because of the fact that they developed a lot of infection, they ended up using the money to fight infection and even borrowing, because the people that paid them, that was it. They left them alone. In fact, they just paid them money. They didn't even wait for them to recover. They got rid of them. They just told them to leave. They can go and recover at home. So they went home, developed infection, and they're still treating infections, borrowing money to pay for these infections. Up to 20% mortality rates occurs in most of these organ transplant and organ trafficking and these operations within the first year after they've done the operations. Up to 20% of people die from it. All right. This is exploitation of vulnerability. This is not a random crime. Now, let's talk about law enforcement. What have the law enforcement for these different countries, what have they done so far? But before we do that, let me see what you guys are saying. Nicole says, someone who lures you to harvest an organ is not your friend. Are you kidding? Exactly. Exactly. They don't really care. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody. They just care about themselves. Remember what I said earlier, that the brokers actually earn up to $50,000. So why would they care about you? They're giving you $1,000 or $2,000. They're earning 50K. Why would they care about you? You know, since 2015, there has been over 1,000 arrests globally since 2015. 300 operations have been dismantled by Europol. This was as far back as 2023. They dismantled 300 operations, syndicates and stuff. All right. In Pakistan, they have made 150 arrests. So the law enforcement, they're trying their best to crack down on this. In India, they cracked down on 50 organ trafficking rings in India. In China, they have convicted 87 organ trafficking and human trafficking and all those sort of things, syndicates in China. 87, there's been 87 convictions so far. In South Africa, there has been 120 convictions so far in South Africa. In Kenya, there has been 80 arrests in Kenya. This is a criminal enterprise being actively prosecuted by the law enforcement, but that doesn't stop them though. They're still carrying on. And why is it continuing? Why is this going on? Because there are regulatory gaps. Many countries tighten, they tightly regulate transplant of organs, right? They regulate that, but they loosely regulate non-transplant of human remains. So they regulate the transfer of organs, they, you see papers and everything. But what about the human remains? When people die and they're in the hospital, in the morgue or whatever, there's no law in some of these countries about people who illegally go and harvest the organs of those people who are, who have passed on, the people are still using their organs or whatever, either for whatever reason or the other. All right. Also, remember we talked about the online where people are selling organs online on Instagram and on Facebook. There's online anonymity. Social platforms allow discreet advertising and global shipping. They do. Because if not, why would you allow people like that to be on your social platform? Why don't you close them down and actually trace their IP addresses and arrest them? They don't care. Social media, organizations and platforms, they don't care about that. All right. Now, there is a lot of demand pressure. That is why this happens. All right. Long transplant waiting list drive desperation. Because when this rich man or rich woman or these rich people, maybe themselves or their children are going through some, organ malfunction and all that, they tell them, oh, they can't find anybody yet or whatever. So what do? They become desperate, as in what Ekweremadu did, that he was put in prison. And other people are doing it. It's just that they've not been caught yet. All right. So, the desperation drives them to start looking for people that would, give their organs. And sometimes they will force these people. All right. Oversight is weak. And where oversight is weak, the markets grow. The market grow. So now that we've talked about all this, we've gone from Arizona to China to Nigeria to Pakistan to India to Kenya to South Africa to all these places that we've gone to. So how can we deal with this? What is the solution? Because I'm not about just talking about the problem, but I would always suggest how this can be dealt with. There should be a global enforcement framework. All right. So close the international loopholes. Currently, the problem is that organ transplant laws vary from country to country. All right. Some nations have strict oversight, others have very weak enforcement. Some have excellent systems, but no international coordination as well. None. Criminal networks exploit these weakest links. All right. There is no unified global system that ensures every transplant is traceable, every donor consent is verified, and every clinic is audited internationally. There is nothing like that at the moment in a lot of these organizations and countries. Nothing like that. So what is the solution? Now that we've seen that these are not happening, there should be a stronger WHO, which is the World Health Organization. There should be stronger standards that you need to bring forward. Because right now, the World Health Organization already issues ethical guidelines. Like I said, guidelines, but they are not legally binding. They're just guidelines. They're not legally binding. So my proposal is transform these guidelines into binding international standards. What is stopping you from doing that, WHO? What is stopping you from transforming these guidelines into international binding standards? Countries signing would commit to uniform transplant reporting rules. Every single country to sign and commit to uniform transplant reporting rules. Everybody, they have a template. Everybody follow these guidelines so that you can see where the gaps are in the system and then you take action. There should be laws. All right. Think of it like, with the aviation industry, for instance, like the air travel industry. Air travel is globally regulated because obviously safety matters, doesn't it? It matters. Human organs should have the same level of oversight. They should. Why aren't they? Secondly, I think that there should be mandatory donor identity verification. Every legal donor, and I said legal donor, every legal donor must be registered. They must provide consent. They must undergo independent counseling, whether they really want to do this or not. They must have documentation stored centrally for these legal donors. Because when they have all this in place, this prevents kidnapped individuals being used. All right? Because how are you going to use it when there are laws in place? This prevents coerced donations, where people are coerced for whatever reason, due to poverty or anything else, or blackmail or whatever. This also prevents identity fraud. For example, before surgery, a donor must appear before a certified ethics board independent of the transplant hospital. And they would either say, yeah, they want their organs just in case anything happens to be donated or not. They put it on record somewhere. All right. At the moment, only a few countries do that. I know that here in the UK, for instance, there's this organ donor thing where they will tell you go online if you don't want your organ to be removed when God forbid you pass on. You need to go and sign, because automatically, if you don't sign that register, automatically they can take your organ, they can harvest your organ and use it for somebody else. So you need to actually go and opt out and say, no, you don't want that to happen. They do that in the United Kingdom. They should do that in other places. All right. There also should be an international clinic licensing database. All right. Imagine a global, publicly accessible database listing all certified transplant hospitals. All right. Annual transplant numbers, audit results, what happens in those hospitals. All right. Sanctions history, which hospitals have been sanctioned or not sanctioned, who is conducting illegal and illicit organ transplanting and harvesting. If a clinic is not listed, insurance companies and international patients cannot legally use it. That should be in place. Because if that's in place, that cuts off demand for such hospitals, for such places. All right. There should be public annual audits. Each country that practices this should have, they will publish total number of transplants that they've done, the sources of organs that they transplanted or harvested. All right. The waiting list data, the people that are still waiting on the waiting list, the data, publish it. All right. Also, compliance reports. How have you complied with the guidelines that we are still asking the WHO to set? The standards, the law that they should put in place for things like this. How are you, even the laws that are currently in place in some countries, because not all the countries that are bad, some are worse, but some are not bad at all. How have you complied to those laws, those rules and regulations that that are in place so far? All right. Because transparency discourages corruption. Criminal markets thrive in darkness. Transparency obviously turns on the lights, right? Secondly, I think there should be like a blockchain transplant registry. This one, like in blockchain, for those of you who are into cryptocurrency and things like that, you know that when people send you money using blockchain and all that, they cannot trace it. All right, it's locked, it's tamper proof. All right, is locked down. There should be something similar for organ trafficking or harvesting. All right, making the system tamper proof. Because the problem right now is that records can be altered as we speak. Obviously, we've seen that. All right, documents can be forged. Paper systems obviously can be manipulated. So the solution will be to use blockchain technology to record every transplant. Blockchain, obviously, as you know, like I said, is permanent. It cannot be altered retroactively. It cannot. It cannot be decentralized. Every legal transplant will be logged with, and I hope the WHO and hospitals and all. I'm going to try and tag most of these organizations into this when I post this video. All right, I'm going to tag them because my proposal, when they deploy this blockchain technology, every legal transplant will be logged with a donor ID that is encrypted, a recipient ID that is encrypted, your hospital ID, the date, and also the ethics approval record. Who approved it? Why was it approved? Okay. Why does this matter? It matters because if one hospital suddenly reports unusually high transplant numbers, then we know there is a problem. Why all of a sudden there's unusually high transplant numbers? Why just you? Why just that hospital? So there is, like the eyes will be on that hospital. Why? All right. Donor patterns, if they don't match national statistics, all right, so that like I said, because of the transparency, what they report and what actually people are reporting in terms of the donors, if the numbers don't match, then there is a problem. Why are there irregularities between the people that you claim to have taken their organs and the actual people, the actual number of people that organs have been invested in that particular institution? Okay, so this just eliminates any form of side businesses or whatever. All right, because there's transparency. The system automatically will flag anomalies, all these anomalies and stuff like that. The system will flag it. All right, because red flags obviously will now trigger automatic investigation. Any anomalies that is see will trigger investigation. This will make large-scale illegal operations much harder to hide if they do this, honestly. Thirdly, financial disruption. Because think about it, just follow the money. Follow the money. Banks have a lot to play in this, all right? Criminal networks survive on profit. So instead of chasing every surgeon, attack the financial infrastructure. When you notice a particular institution, all right, and certain monies keep going into particular institution all the time, and it's kind of like um because you get this you get this for people. I did an money laundering course some time ago and everything, and it was quite an eye opener. Certain things that are not going well if you work in the banking industry. All right, you can actually detect your gut, just like the police people. Your gut will tell them something is not quite right. Follow how this money, where is it going to? Who is it going to? And why is it going there? All right. Expand anti-money laundering laws, because currently the anti-money laundering laws target drug cartels, terror financing, human trafficking. Nothing about transplant payments. Nothing about organ, trafficking and all that. They can, look, obviously they do human trafficking, but not organ trafficking. Transplant payments should be included in this. All right. Any international payments labeled medical transplants should be investigated for its authenticity or not. All right. Any surgical procedure abroad that has to do with transplanting should be investigated. All right. Anything above $25,000, for instance, must trigger automatic reporting, whether it is genuine or not. Let them just find out what's going on. Why? All right. And there should be mandatory reporting thresholds. For example, banks right now automatically they'll flag large payments. All right. I know even my bank here in the UK. If I make any payment that is larger than what they expect of me, the next thing they won't even speak to me first. They will block it first, and then they will send me a text and say, or call me and say, we noticed so and so amount of money left or whatever. Did you do it or not? And I'm sure you all, especially those that live in the UK, even most countries in the world, they do the same thing now. You can empathize, you can understand that. They do that. Do the same for organizations, all right? Because large payments to transplant centers, all right, especially in high risk regions, should be investigated, it should be flagged. If you see large payments, for instance, going from, I don't know, maybe the States or China or the UK, going to an organization in Kenya or in Nigeria or somewhere in the Caribbean or whatever, you find out why. What's going on there? Why? Repeated cross-border transfers, linked to medical brokers, all right, to be investigated, all right, because there's obviously always a digital paper trail. So follow that trail, follow the money. Also, if a clinic is proven to violate regulations, all right, seize their assets, freeze bank accounts, seize their property, ban their medical licenses, all right, enforce international travel restrictions. All these things you can do. WHO and all these other institutions that you know who you are. Because when profit disappears, the incentive also disappears with it. And then let's not forget the victims that are affected by this, all right? Protect the exploited, punish them. Many organ sellers, all right, they are in extreme poverty, they are in debt, they are threatened. They are misled about risk. You saw the video about, a little boy just now and his friend who told him, oh, don't worry, they'll give you this and give you that or whatever. All right. They don't tell them about the risks. All right. And after surgery, what happens with these people? Chronic pain, infection, loss of employment. Sometimes even it costs their lives. Psychological trauma that a lot of them go through. These people are not criminals. They are the victims. It is the institutions and the brokers that are criminals. And even those who are paying for this, because it will be good for you who is buying these organs to actually find out where did this come from. If you really have a good heart, if your heart is in the right place and you don't want you're not wicked, find out where did this person come, where did this come from. Let's see the paperwork, see the trail. But they don't care about that because all they care about is themselves. And also for these victims, my proposal will be there should be a lifelong medical follow-up. Right now, that doesn't obviously happen. We know that. But the governments of those countries should actually investigate these things, all right? And people who have been victims to these illegal organ harvesting and trafficking and all that, the government should guarantee free annual checkups for them. All right. They should guarantee free kidney, liver monitoring for them as well to make sure that the other, like one of the videos that, like I said, I can't play all the videos. The other liver and the other kidney that the guy donated, that the guy was left after he donated the other one, now is in trouble. Now the guy's mother, because the guy's mom didn't even know that he went about, selling his kidney until he now became sick and they found out that his one kidney is gone, the other kidney has problems. And now they don't have money. This was in Kenya. They don't have money to treat this poor boy, right? But if the government can get these people and actually monitor them and ensure that they are well, take care of them, treat them, and then also offer them mental health support. Mental health support, because this will prevent long-term disability. Because a lot of them can go through so much trauma from it. And some of them actually, they can actually be affected so much so that it damages other things. So offer them this medical assistance as much as possible. There's quite a lot more, but let me see what you guys are saying. Now, yeah, gosh. Um, Amaka says, so sad. It's poverty that causes most of this. Absolutely. Nicole says, I would think organ trading is happening in the dark web. Yeah, absolutely, Nicole. You're right. She says, education is key. In fact, let me just put it there so people can see it. She says, education is key. All right. Potential donors need to be made aware that it is not worth it financially and it can lead to a lifetime of health complications. Unfortunately, if voluntary donors dry up, there will be increased disappearances as involuntary donors are kidnapped or lured. Nicole, honestly, you couldn't be more correct. You couldn't be more correct. This is exactly what it is. Robin says the trouble is that even adding this to AML type laws, we all know, especially from the Epstein files, that those in power enable AML to be sidestepped. Oh my gosh, Robin. This is true. This is true. This is true though, but I mean, what can you do? At least put the law in place first and then see how it goes, I guess. You know, Nicole says for AML, I believe it's above 10K in the 10K pounds or UK or the US 10,000. Yeah, anything above that should be tracked. And sometimes actually what I also, like I said, I did this AML course. And what also I found out is that sometimes because this people know how the banks will track them, they split the money up. You know what I mean? They actually split the money up to through different people. All right. They break it into little change, maybe 2,000 here, 3,000, 5,000. They just break it and then they transfer it at different times so that people will not suspect anything. So all these things are happening, and these people are finding ways around the system. But at least put the law in place first, because right now there's no proper law in place. All right. Now, I also feel there should be some compensation to be given to people who have been victims. All right. So when you seize, when these laws are in place and these assets are seized from these criminals, all right, there should be a portion of this should go to the victims. Well, a portion of it should go to the victims. So there should be like a compensation, a victim compensation fund. And this fund will cover medical issues or medical things, complications or effects that these victims will be going through. So whatever you seize from these traffickers, convert most of the funds into a fund for the victims to cover their medical charges, also education grants. Because a lot of them, because of the issues they're going through, they cannot work. They're rendered unemployed, and then their children and the family suffer. So they deserve justice. So there should be a grant set aside for these people, for their children to be educated, or even they themselves, like these ones, that young boys who have become victims and they can't do anything anymore because they're always in chronic pain. There should be some sort of funding for them to either, go back to school or learn a trade or something that will give them some income. And also, many victims were coerced through loans, right? So the government can nullify any exploitative debts. So whatever it is that these people have, they're owing them, and that is why they made them to go and, take this, do this organ harvesting or whatever. When the government finds out, they should say, okay, fine, they're not paying you a dime anymore. Okay, you can go to hell. They can just cancel, nullify any debts that these victims may have been owing these people, cancel it. Criminalize predatory medical brokers, because these people are earning so much. Criminalize them. All right? This because this is the only way that these people, this will deter them. Also, if there are people who are whistleblowers, who are actually reporting these crimes to the government or to institutions and all that, protect them as well. Medical staff who report illegally trafficked or transplanted organs, they must be legally protected. All right? They should also receive financial protection in case they lose their jobs or in case they decide to leave the job because they are afraid for their lives and stuff like that. They should receive financial compensation or protection. They should also be protected and shielded from retaliation because some of these rings, they don't take any prisoners. They are very, very, very evil. They can do anything. So they should put some things in place to protect these people who are whistleblowers as well. All right. Because without protection, silence wins. These people will carry on doing what they're doing. All right. And also, I think this is important, right? Black markets exist because demand exceeds supply. Long waiting lists create desperation, as I said before. All right. And what happens? This desperation creates a market. So if there's this opt-in and opt-out system, it should be in place for all these countries, every single country. Countries with the opt-out system, this is where citizens are presumed donors unless they decline, often have a higher legal donation rates. Like I said, in the UK, for instance, right? You have the opportunity to opt out if you don't want your organ to be donated to medical or whatever, to somebody else or whatever. You have the option to do that. A lot of countries don't have that in place. There should be that in all countries, all right? Now, Spain is one example, all right, that is frequently cited in medical literature because, you know, more legal organs equals less black market demand. Because if a lot of people opt in and say, okay, fine, they want to use their organs, they want somebody else to benefit from it, then that's fine. But because people don't opt into that, so there's not a lot around to go around. So the black market is thriving because of that. Okay. Also, there should be public awareness campaigns. All right. Many people support donation, actually. Like the very first video that I played, the lady, remember the lady that was crying, the one that happened in Arizona? She said her mother would have liked her body to be donated to medical sciences. They can take anything. All right. All right. And so she thought that was what they were going to do, but that wasn't the case, unfortunately. And for years, this organization got away with it. All right. Because there was no formal register. Government can simplify online registration, which includes organ donor selection. For example, in the driver's license, if the driver is going to renew their license, for instance, they can have that opt-in or opt-out clause in it for the driver to complete whether they want their organ to be used or not. Okay. Launch public campaigns about life-saving impact. Like, okay, this is what you're doing for humanity. If you decide to donate your organs or whatever, and this and the other. All right, this will eliminate some form of these illegal crimes that are going on in the black market because people will come forward a bit more because they know what to expect. All right, there should be because right now some patients, they travel abroad because the waiting times abroad is shorter, but we know why. We know why the waiting times is shorter because they go abroad because those people in those places that they go to other countries to illegally harvest organs. And so they have plenty of it in stock, in demand. But a regulated international transplant sharing framework, which we are saying should be created by the WHO and even other countries, every country in the world, would allow cross-border legal sharing. All right, there will be strict transparency All right. And there will be a unified oversight. Everybody knows what everybody is doing because this will reduce underground transplant tourism, which people are going for, as in the Madu's case as well, which was meant to be underground transplant tourism. This will reduce it if these things are in place. And this matters because when legal supply rises, the black market will shrink, obviously. It's simple economics. All right. If regulation strengthens, transparency increases, financial incentives will disappear, the victims will be protected. All right. And then legal supply will expand because the black market will lose their business, I guess. The illegal trade becomes harder when this happens, and then it will be riskier and less profitable. There just needs to be tighter laws, tighter frameworks by the WHO and all these countries as well that we mentioned that seem to be getting away. These institutions in these countries seem to be getting away with it. All right. Now, my royals, what else are you saying? I want more comments in the chat because I'm not going. I don't want to stay too long. I'm going to close in another 5 minutes. All right, I'm going to close in another 5 minutes because I, when, like I said, when I was reading, when I was going through this and going through the research, I honestly, my heart was broken. All right, we cannot eliminate demand for organ transplants. We cannot. But we can eliminate the systems that exploit the vulnerable to meet that demand. That's the difference between outrage, just getting angry for the form of it, and reform. Because if you eliminate those systems, then obviously the demand would decrease. This is not hysteria. This is things that are happening as we speak. This is not an internet myth. I told you where you can go. And if you still, if you still want me to send you the links and all that for this place so you can read it, just send me an email, empowerlifewithcleopatra@gmail.com, empowerlifewithcleopatra@gmail.com, or actually not even there. Put it in the comment for me. After the show, like I said, let the show come to an end. All right. And I need you guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe to the channel. I really need to continue to grow this channel. As you can see, a lot of work goes into this channel. All the content that I provide are usually backed, whether it's the health and wellness session or any other expose or any other show that I do. I put in my blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that you get good content. The least you guys can do for me, please, is just to support me by subscribing. To those who've subscribed already, thank you so much. To those who are always joining me every Sunday for the live shows, thank you so much. And for those who always join in to the videos that I drop during the week, honestly, it means a lot to me. But I need you to always share with other people as well. All right. All right. And yeah, and always watch the video to the end. Also, all right, if you're coming back to watch this video, watch it to the end. And I always ask you for comments because that's the only way YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok will push the video when you comment because they see that there's engagement to it. Okay. Now, what have we talked about today? We've talked about from Arizona's body broker scandal to the online skull markets that we see on social media and all that. We've talked about the theft in Harvard. We talked about the Russian investigation that's going on even as we speak, to the Pakistan kidney rings that has been going on, to the arrests in India, to the underground trade of organs in Egypt, to the convictions for the Nigerian politician and what's going on with selling young boys and selling their organs. So China's controversial tribunal findings. All right, we've talked about all these things. We've exposed all this. All right, the global trade in human bodies exists in different forms. But I don't want us to be afraid. The solution is not fear. The solution is transparency, enforcement, and dignity. We cannot eliminate demand for organ transplants. We know that would always happen. but we can eliminate the systems that exploit the vulnerable to meet that demand. Okay? That's the difference between, like I said, outrage and reform. So, my royals, we're going to end in a minute. I just want you guys to know that human beings are not spare parts. We know that. But as long as dignity matters, we must continue this conversation. We must, let people know that, right, we've talked about this show today. This actually is happening. Amaka says, those are powerful and fruitful recommendations you made. I wish they think of these strategies and put them into action. WHO can help push this kind of recommendations. They should hire me as a consultant. WHO, you should hire me as a consultant. Okay? They should hire people who actually can make a change and make a difference. Not always sugarcoat things and, like just, put a plaster over things when you should be actually going to the root cause and dealing with the root cause. It's like taking ibuprofen for a teeth infection when you know that the root canal itself is destroyed. You're not treating the root, you are just trying to placate the pain. Doesn't make any sense. So, Amaka, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Maros, this is what we're going to leave it. It's about, it's time for us to go. But thank you so much once again for watching. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. At the end of the show, please do this for me. Just wait for about a minute or two after the show is over. Come back and make these comments. You can copy these comments somewhere on your WhatsApp or whatever. Come back and just dump them there. Dump them in the chats again so that people can see this and they will now see this engagement and then they can comment as well. I need all the support I can get. I'm trying to build this channel. You can see the content that I deliver here. Okay, it's really, really good stuff, if I may say so myself. So thank you once again for watching. I love you guys so much. Big, big kisses to you all for joining me tonight. Until next week, be bold, be kind, be empowered. All right. God bless you. Have a wonderful week ahead. I love you so much. Bye, guys. Bye for now.
Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Unlock your true potential. Empower your mind, body, and soul. Live with intentions, live with a purpose. Empower your dreams, make it happen today. No matter your age, rise and shine. Live boldly, live authentically. It's your time to rise and shine. Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Your journey starts today. You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra. Will help you awaken the best version of you.